Action.
Hey everyone, Caitlin here, Director of Fitness at Pritikin, and I have no business being on this side of the kitchen, but this guy sure does. So I'm with our executive chef, Vince, and he, when I heard was gonna show y'all some healthy Super Bowl recipes, I thought, well shoot, I better tag along.
Well, thanks for joining me today, Caitlin. Hopefully we can teach everybody some good stuff.
Yeah.
And we actually decided to do 2 bonus recipes today for you as well.
Nice.
So we're going to do a bison 3-bean chili, and we're going to serve that up with some crispy kind of French fry potato skins. And we're also going to make what we already told you is going to be our breaded asparagus spears with the roasted red pepper jam.
I love those. Okay, before we get started though, what team are you going for?
Clearly the Eagles. I am from Philadelphia.
Okay, that's a good one.
How about you?
Well, I am going for Taylor Swift. That is my team of choice this Super Bowl.
Heard that. All right. So.
All right, Chef. So what are we going to start with? And by the way, if he can guide me through this, he could definitely guide y'all through this. So we want to make it live, interactive. It's kind of our first time going at this. So we're going to learn right along with you.
Yep.
But we want to try to interact. If you have questions for Chef, I know I will. I'm going to be asking. Send yours in, and we'll try to get to as many of yours as we can.
She's going to show me in the next video how to actually work out properly, especially if I'm a chef. I don't have a lot of time. What can I do at my home? And stay tuned for that video. So let's go ahead and get started. Very first thing we're going to do, I have this pan getting hot. We're going to brown off the onions, the peppers in this pan. I have this pan getting hot as well. We'll brown off the ground bison in that pan. I have some chicken broth over here. It has already been preheated, and we'll talk about that in a moment, which brand we like to use here. And let's go ahead and get started. So I have some corn over here. Caitlin, can you go ahead and start throwing this in the oven? We're going to start roasting this.
Just like this.
Just like that. We're going to just pop that right in the oven.
Anywhere?
Throw it on in.
When I tell you, you're starting at step 1 with me. You are starting at step 1.
We did not soak this corn. If you were putting this on the grill, some people like to grill corn out in the barbecue. You wouldn't want to soak it for a few hours so that way the husk doesn't just burn when it goes onto the grill. This oven's at 400 degrees. We're going to go no longer than 30 minutes in the oven to roast that corn. After it's roasted and comes out, it's going to cut off. The husk will pull off very clean and easily, and the kernels will chop off and put them into our chili. So let's go ahead and roast off some peppers for our roasted pepper jam as well. That'll be taking at least about 15 minutes or so, maybe 10, 15 minutes to roast the peppers. We're going to do that on a high flame as well. Could you pass me one of those big sheet trays over there?
I can.
We're going to take some.
I feel so useful.
We're going to take some avocado oil spray here. Just lightly spray that. I have 6 nice, beautiful red peppers, and we'll put that in the oven as well. I have the bottom oven set to 500 degrees. If I have a broiler, I would rather use the broiler. Let's go ahead and get this open for you.
Wow. Here?
There you go, on this top rack here. Yep.
Okay.
So those are roasting. Now, what are they going to look like when they're done? Well, check that out right there. You hold that up for me, Caitlin?
The magic of TV. And they're done.
So they're done. They've roasted for about 10 to 15 minutes. And by the time those are done, we'll talk about, these are already cooled down, so they'll be easier to clean the skin off, and we'll start making that jam in just a little bit. So let's make that chili here first. So these pans are already getting hot. This pan right here is preheating on a medium heat. This pan right here is also preheating on a medium heat as well.
Okay, I have a silly question. While your vegetables are roasting in real life, when we don't have it, what do you recommend doing? What you're doing now? Cutting? Do your cutting work now?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, just try to multitask as much as you can. Anytime we're doing any of these classes or even at my home, have everything spread out. Also making sure you have everything on hand, because nothing will be upsetting more than you cook in the middle of cooking chili and you thought you had cumin, but you don't have cumin. And now you're driving to the grocery store, trying to buy cumin just for the one thing you already started cooking. So let's go ahead and show you. We cut the top off, we cut the bottom off, a little cut down the side, and we'll pull that first layer of onion right off. Now, we're going to use yellow onion, but if you want to use Vidalia onion, white onion, that's fine too. So I'm using an offset serrated knife. This way, it gives me a little bit more ability of not having to keep an edge on this knife all the time. Great knife too, but you have to maintain the sharpness of a knife like this. So what we're doing here is when holding my knuckles like this here, another benefit of this style of knife is there's a little offset scalloped edge on the teeth, so that when the knife comes back out, it comes back out clean as opposed to that. You know, that'll just slow you down when you're doing stuff like that, right? So you can see that little kind of scalloped edge on the teeth. So go the opposite way here. We'll cut this onion as well a few times. And what I'm going to do here is start the knife kind of flat. I'm pinching this here, and that way I'm kind of curving the knife around as I'm cutting this onion and getting this small, medium-sized dice. So we're going to put those onions into the pan first, and then we'll follow up with the peppers as well.
Hey, Nancy has a great question. She doesn't eat red meat. Can she substitute turkey or chili buffalo?
Absolutely.
For chili?
We don't even recommend having red meat very often. And if you choose to use red meat, we would rather go for a lean red meat, and bison would be a great option. Poultry would be even better, would be healthier. Make sure you're getting the lean chicken or turkey breast meat that's ground up. You could also try
using... And you cook it just the same?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, great.
If you want to try using and keeping it totally vegetarian, something called TVP, or textured vegetable protein, works great as well. It's made from soy flour. It has a texture of ground chicken or ground turkey when you rehydrate it in your broth. That's another great product to try using as well.
Good to know. Good question, Nancy.
So I have some yellow peppers, red peppers, and some poblano peppers here. Now, could you hold that here for me, Caitlin? We're going to spray this with a little bit of avocado oil spray. Okay. You can see that pan's been preheating. Let's drop it in.
Okay. Ooh.
I had to use a long spoon to keep my hands away from the actual steam rising up out of the pan. One thing I'm going to do is cover that right away so that moisture stays in there. And that steam that rises up drips back down. It condensates on the lid, and it allows that onion to coat in that little bit of moisture where it can still brown with that very little bit of oil.
I'm crying because it's so beautiful. Because watching you cook is so beautiful.
So what we're gonna do here, let me show you this. Let's kind of roll this pepper open like that here, right? And you have really no waste left.
That was so smart.
Let's do it again, right? Trying to cut around the center of it, just like this. Cut the bottom off, and really very minimal waste. Of course, you can cut that off as well. Okay. Now let's give that a quick stir.
Where's my stirrer?
Look at all that moisture building up on there.
Oh, okay.
Onions getting nice and brown already. It's only been in there for 60 seconds at the most. Now, even if
How does that not get to you? Is it you're just used to it?
I'm used to it. You know what you can try doing also, if it really affects you, put your hood on to suck that vapor out of the steam out of your kitchen, and that'll help you a little bit.
Smart.
If you see what I'm doing here is I'm using the middle back part of my knife to chop this pepper. Many people like to do this, and they pull the knife, and they're using this part. So you want to kind of get a little more leverage on there. I like to use a pretty long knife. This is a 10-inch chef knife. Now, if you want to get this kind of smashed down, and that way it sits nice and flat, you're able to do these nice wide strips.
We have to. They're spicy, right? So
a little
you should
spice.
Wash if you're in your own kitchen without.
You should always wear gloves in general. When you're using any sort of hot pepper, because if you're touching your face afterwards, you could absolutely have a reaction to it for sure.
Yeah.
So this is a very mild pepper, but if you want to use something spicier.
Why is that the only thing I know so far? I have had a reaction to try to cook with it. All right, so good tip. Gloves from now on. Gloves from now on.
So let's go ahead and get that pepper into the pan. You can see it's already getting nice and caramelized. So since we're going to put corn in here, we'll skip over the yellow pepper. And we had nice big poblanos and red peppers. So overall, I'm looking for about a half and half ratio of peppers to onions there.
Okay.
So that looks pretty good to me. And, just make it as colorful as possible. So we'll finish up this last red pepper, and we'll put that last one in. Now, we're also going to brown off that bison in a separate pan. And the reason is because that way it'll help you get more color overall. If you try to put the bison in the same pan, you're going to cook if you're going to cook all the vegetables, there's really not much surface area left for it to really brown, and you'll be kind of overcrowding the pan.
Okay.
Again, that pan's on a medium heat, 10 out of 20.
Okay.
This one's on about a 13 out of 20, so a little hotter.
Stay there.
Let's see how hot it actually is. You can see that smoke coming up. So usually I would turn these hoods on, but they are going to be pretty loud, so I don't want to do that for the filming.
No, just blow right on. It's fine.
Right, we're just smoking this whole place out of here. So drop that in. That's 1 pound of lean ground bison meat. Now, this is a 5% fat ratio here. Try to get the leanest you can find. And what I'm going to do here is take the back of the spoon and smash it down like this here. You ever had bison before, Caitlin?
Only when you cook it.
Heard that? We like to serve bison here as a lean red meat because it has a very similar flavor to using beef. Now, if you like beef, you'll like bison. You want to try to get more adventurous and use other lean red meats? We've tried using a lot of other variety of lean red meats, and those would include things like ostrich, antelope, elk, venison, more exotic things that have a pretty strong, more unique flavor as well.
Now, why did you do that? Why did you smash it down?
What I'm smashing it down for is because you'll see that initially the pan's nice and hot, and you're getting that kind of bits and pieces browning to the pan. I don't want to get big chunks in there, right? So I'm trying to smash up into crumbles.
Yeah, it really broke it. I normally go like this with my, that's not it? That's not the way to do it?
You can do that.
Okay, I've never seen that before. How cool.
So we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of water in this pan just to create a little bit of extra steam. We're going to go ahead and put some garlic. This is just minced garlic.
Okay.
Keep smashing that down, Caitlin, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So initially it looks like it's burning to the pan, but that's fine because all that moisture is going to help release it. And then we'll let it kind of not burn to the pan, but caramelize nice to the pan again and get real nice flavor. Because the meat essentially is going to be the seasoning in this chili overall. We're not even going to season the meat. We have lots of other spices going into this chili, but that's going to add a nice extra layer of texture, protein, and flavor. So the garlic's in there. We do not buy pre-minced garlic. You ever see peeled garlic cloves at the grocery store? Buy those. Comes refrigerated. They're already peeled. Put them in the food processor. Done deal.
Okay.
So garlic's in.
And why do you recommend that over
The pre-minced garlic is going to be, quality-wise, not as good. Okay. Sometimes it's packed with added sodium, and sometimes it's packed in oil. So overall, I'd say just getting some fresh garlic. Once you have it minced up, what I do at my home is take small little snack bags, a couple spoonfuls of minced garlic, press it all out flat, and freeze it.
Oh, okay.
You want to use garlic again, you break it out of the freezer, break a little piece off.
Perfect.
All right, so we're almost coming along here. Lots of spices going to go in here. Let's throw those in. I have cumin going in, and this is freshly ground cumin. Very precise measurements here, as you see, in my hand, kind of eyeballing it out. We're going to put this Southwest chili seasoning that we make here in-house. This has bell pepper powder. This has chipotle powder. This has onion and garlic, oregano.
It smells really good. I know you can't get that on the live, but just trust me. Now, Chef, how could they get I know you're making that fresh in-house. Is there something you recommend that they can?
So we actually have the recipe for that Southwest chili seasoning as well, and we can absolutely share that. Not hard to make that yourself. Easy thing to go ahead and have a big batch of that. And most seasonings, dry spices, will last you for about 2 years in your pantry.
Okay.
So keep stirring all this up here. I did put chipotle pepper powder, right? Some smoked chipotle pepper in there. We're also adding some dry oregano as well. So we'll add the bison into here. We're going to add some chicken broth into here. We also have a few more things. This is our version of a verde sauce, a green jalapeno hot sauce. This has a nice little punch of heat to it, which is totally optional. And if you can't find that, or you don't want to make that yourself, because we don't sell it, it's easy to buy a pre-made one, but the sodium is always going to be the main issue.
Excuse me.
So we'll add that brown meat into there, and look, all that good flavor. We're going to pull all that off there. Could you add that chicken broth into here?
I'll sure try.
Not all of it, just a splash.
Okay.
Perfect. All right.
Oh, how cool.
So that's all going to deglaze all that. Yep. So far we have the peppers, we have the garlic, we have the bison, we have the spices, we have the green hot sauce. We're going to add some balsamic in here as well. This is a balsamic reduction, so a little bit more thick and sweet naturally as you reduce it than just regular balsamic. All this nice caramelized bison meat, deglaze all that chicken with the chicken broth right off of there.
Yum.
Now I preheated the broth just for time purposes, so all this comes together a little bit faster. You don't need to do that. Certainly pouring it out of the carton would be just fine.
Can you preheat it in the microwave? Sorry. Are you offended by that question?
I mean, microwaves are fine for preheating and or reheating things and maybe making popcorn. We don't use the microwave many times at my home, but we have one. So chicken broth goes in here. Now the chicken broth I like to use here, I have a couple of different brands. This is called Zoop, and this is a low sodium one. They are all low sodium. Whole Foods, Fresh Market, most grocery stores sell them. If they're shelf stable, buy it online. It's easier just to buy it, ship it to you. That's it. This particular brand, Pacific, Kettle and Fire, Imagine, this is the brand I use today. Why? Look at the sodium per cup.
That's pretty
50 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
Most chicken broths that don't say anything about low sodium are going to usually be 5 to 6 to 7, 800 milligrams of sodium per cup. So this is a great one to try to source.
That'll make Lon very happy.
Yes, Lon's our dietitian if you don't know. So we're going to put some lower sodium Worcestershire sauce in here, if you can say that, please.
Worcestershire.
So a little dash of that in there, give a nice little pump of flavor.
Just throwing stuff, Chef. Act like you've been here before.
Throw it at you. So we're going to also put all these beans. Now, these are just canned beans, which easily you can go ahead and find low sodium or no salt added. Eden is the brand we like to use for any time you're using a canned bean.
Okay.
That's some black beans we're putting in here. We're going to put some chickpeas into here.
Yum.
And some red kidney beans into here as well. So really, you could just skip over the bison. I mean, this is a pretty hearty.
I was going to ask that. Yeah, you can
lot
make
of
it vegetarian.
protein, very meaty as well.
Great.
Now, another unique thing here that we're going to put in here, this is liquid smoke. Now, what liquid smoke is just smoky water. So they smoke a bunch of hickory wood, they trap that smoke, they mix it with steam, and they distill it down, and then you have a very smoky water. And
Smoke.
this...
Where does one buy that smoky water?
Yeah, so liquid smoke is sold at any grocery store, little small condiment bottle. You don't need very much of it. So that's
buy some. My kids are not going to know what happens.
That's what makes
like, who's this new mom?
That's what makes barbecue sauce taste like a smoky barbecue sauce. If you don't have that,
wow,
you just have like a funky tomato sauce type of thing going on. So we'll add some tomato puree in here. We're also going to add a little bit of this salsa. This is a brand called Green Mountain Gringo. Now, this company does not put on the label low sodium, but they used to, and they took it off. Why? People aren't buying it as much. So if somebody's not in the market for a low sodium product, they'll skip over something if they perceive it to be too healthy. It's an unfortunate truth, but this is 85 milligrams every 2 tablespoons. So we'll put about a quarter cup or so in there. And about a third of the sodium that you find in most nationwide salsa brands overall. Make it yourself if you want to. Not hard to make salsa, but that's a good brand overall.
Make it yourself. I like how easy you just said that.
Not hard to make salsa. Put a little ketchup in here as well. And we're moving right along. And this ketchup here, this is from a company called Woodstock. 50% less sodium and sugar overall.
It's already thickening up. It must be from the paste?
From the tomato puree, yeah.
Puree.
And tomato puree is just tomato paste and water together. So if you just want to use paste, you just use a little bit less. Okay. Let's throw the rest of those beans, make that nice and hearty in there. Wow. It's going to cook down a little bit more. I did not put all the broth. I only put about maybe 2 quarts of broth in here at the most. Okay. So let's put a lid on it.
Okay.
Can I see that spoon real quick? Make sure we're not...
Make sure that I was doing my one and only job. That was good. You should do that.
All right. So let's go ahead and make the next thing. So I have these red peppers here, which we need to peel them. I'll let you start doing that.
Oh, boy.
Here's some gloves, madam.
Okay.
And when I peel these peppers, they're cooled down now. I do not want to waste the juice that's on the inside. That's going to have a lot of extra flavor. So to make our red pepper jam, let's go ahead and reduce those down. Now, to serve with this chili, back to this real quickly, we decided to do some of our potato skin recipe, but we decided to cut them more like a nice big French fry type of thing. And I have those already pre-cooked right now, not roasting, but they're steamed. And I have some raw potatoes, which will demonstrate in a moment how I got them to be like this. So these have already been cooked and then slightly, just par steamed, about maybe 7 minutes at the most. And we're going to put them in a bowl. They're cooled down all the way. You have to make sure before they go into the oven, these are fully cooled down. But look how cooked they are, right?
Peter's got a great question. Hey, Peter, by the way, I miss you. Why not fresh tomatoes instead of the ketchup or the canned tomato paste?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is going to give you a more stronger, intense flavor, and it won't make it as watery. When you add fresh tomatoes, it will absolutely make it more watered down as they cook and release all that extra moisture. But you certainly could add more tomato if you want to use canned diced tomato as well. No problem with that.
Okay, that's a great question, Peter.
But fresh is always just as good. But overall, I would say it's going to add more body by adding the puree too.
Got it. So all right, so is my job to skin? Follow-up question, what does that mean?
I'll show Caitlin how to do one of these real quick, and then we'll put her in charge of the rest. So what we're going to do here, this skin is now kind of blistered, and it should come off pretty easily. If you don't blister that skin like I did here, it doesn't remove as nice. You don't want to go to the point where it's turning ashy. You've gone that far,
Try again.
Try again. You don't want the pepper to look white and ashy.
And this is from roasting it, 500 degrees.
Yep, about 10 to 15 minutes.
And you want to let it cool down before.
Because you're just going to burn your hands otherwise. Okay. That's why I pre-did it, right?
That was so nice of you, Chef.
So that's what I'm looking for here. This seeds will pop out as well, but this extra juice, I want to save as much of it as I can. You can see how juicy these peppers are. Just roasting peppers like that, put them on a salad, put them with a stir fry, gets a lot of extra flavor. We're going to go ahead and make a dip with them today.
Perfect. All right. So now Sue is wondering, while I'm skinning my very first pepper, Sue was wondering, are the potatoes skinned off?
No, I just went ahead and cut them more like a bigger kind of chunky kind of French fry type of thing. But I'm going to demonstrate how we do our actual potato skins as well. But just to give you a little bit more body to this, I went ahead and cut them as a pretty big chunk like this. Some of them still have the skin, but some of them were just the internal parts of the potato.
They're like steak fries.
Like big, nice steak fries, correct. So I'm going to use 2 spices here. The first one will be my Pritikin all-purpose seasoning. And then I'm also going to use some salt-free lemon pepper as well.
How important is it that I don't let the seeds get in here?
I mean, a little bit of seeds is okay. The seeds of a hot pepper add more heat, but these have no heat to them. So, try to get most of them off if you can, but you're going to get a few here and there. Unless you're OCD, you'll never get every single little piece of that black stuff off. So try to get most of it off, but you'll always be a little bit of remnants.
Most of the black stuff, and then squeeze the juice. We want the juice in the pan, right?
Correct.
All right.
So these 2 spices together, I used, again, a salt-free lemon pepper and the Pritikin all-purpose spice. You have granulated onion, granulated garlic, a little bit of paprika, coriander, oregano, and a little bit of dry parsley to add some flavor and color. And that's it. So we'll toss these up. These could maybe add some fresh rosemary. Maybe we want to add some fresh oregano or thyme. We're going to stop it right there. Let's go ahead and spray a sheet tray, and we'll get these roasting in our oven.
What would you give me 1 out of 10 on my skinning pepper skills?
Let's see what you got there. Wow, there's a lot of juice left there. They're good. That's good. Yeah, that looks good.
He's being nice.
We like to use an avocado oil spray here. We're going to mist this pan here. Make sure you spray the whole thing. Again, you have to make sure the potatoes cool down. If the potatoes are hot out of the water, again, the key thing to cook roasted potatoes is they should be partially steamed before they're roasted.
Partially steamed before they're roasted. Okay.
If you chop a raw potato and you cook it, why not just do that? You can, but when it goes into the oven, it has to fully cook. As opposed to now.
Yes, that's why my kids hate my French fries I bake at home.
Now all it needs to do is simply get crispy on the outside, and it's already going to be fluffy and tender on the inside.
Oh, wow. Chef, the things you're teaching me.
All right, so let's get these potatoes onto the tray. Just lay these out. Spread them out evenly. Try not to overcrowd the tray.
Okay.
And I would always prefer to do something like this right on the actual direct metal pan. If you use parchment paper or even aluminum foil, you may find the results are going to be a little bit, I would say, not as brown as opposed to hitting that on that hot tray.
I was going to ask you that. If you like crispy fries, my family happens to like crispy fries.
Yeah, who doesn't like crispy fries?
So, okay, good. You put it flat on the pan.
Yep.
Don't overcrowd it, and boil them first so that they're cooked on the inside already.
Yep.
Okay.
Quick little mist on top of them helps them get a little bit more color.
How about that?
That corn's got maybe another 10 minutes or so left to go. Let's get goes into the oven.
Okay. I got more than a few seeds, I'm not going to lie. A few more than a few, but it's done.
That's fine. So to start making this jam, we're going to go ahead and put that on the fire. And I have some apple cider vinegar here. And I also have some little bit of apple juice concentrate. Give this a little bit more sweetness. Let's put a lid on it and just turn it up on high.
Turn it up.
All right. So what's next, Caitlin?
Well, I'm going to show you next how to, I don't know, the asparagus? Is that what we're doing?
We're going to do the asparagus next. So there's 2 rules of thumb here that you're looking for when you're cooking vegetables. If the vegetable is grown above ground, start it off in hot water. If it's grown below ground, like potatoes, start them in cold water, and they'll cook more evenly. So we'll point that out when we do both of these in just a moment. So we'll do this asparagus first. This is simply just a
I was
dry
just going to
pot.
say, for those of you who haven't had these, I don't know how to cook it, but I know how to eat it. It's so good. It is so good. So now I'll know how to make it.
And they're very easy to make. Now, look, I just have maybe a cup of water here.
Okay.
We're going to put a lid on it, and we'll bring it up to a boil. This way, you're more steaming them and not just boiling them. Because if you boil them and fully immerse them in water, you'll lose some flavor, you'll lose color, you'll lose nutrient value in the process. This is going to go down. This was on high. I was waiting for it to really boil away, which it has. And now we'll lower that down. Now, I'm
So you
just
want to
letting
leave
it
it mostly
simmer.
covered.
Yeah.
Stir it, but that was only one. That was the first time you stirred it. That's good.
I think I stirred it one other time.
Well,
but-
to check my work, yes, you did. Okay, so you put everything in, give it a good stir, cover it, let it sit, and for the most part, just let it simmer and do its thing.
Yeah, like if you have like an Instant Pot or a crock pot, that's a great recipe to do it in. You know, you'd ideally want to saute the vegetables in a separate pan, but you can add everything into the crock pot and just let it go all day.
Cool.
Cool. So that looks like it's boiling up here. It is. That looks good. Just give that a quick little shake here.
Smells delicious.
So this is going to come up to a boil pretty quickly as well because we have very minimal water there, as opposed to waiting for a whole big pot of water to boil. All right, so the roasted peppers are cooking down with some vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and some apple juice concentrate. We like to use Bragg's brand of apple cider vinegar, but whatever one you prefer, I would say just don't use like white distilled vinegar. There's not much flavor.
Do you want it with the, what is it, the mother in
Yeah.
it? I hear Lana and Martha talk about that.
This gives you a little bit more.
So live cultures.
Yep, a little bit more nutrient value there. So now I like to use nice big jumbo asparagus because overall you're going to get more vegetable compared to breadcrumb, right? Now we're not going to use breadcrumbs, but we're going to use potato flakes. But overall, just more vegetable, not these thin little pieces of asparagus that some people might consider purchasing. You can, but overall, these will be a little bit more bite to that. So I'm going to eyeball it out and do about maybe 2 inches or so from the bottom. Some people will sit there and kind of feel each one, but I would say kind of just eyeballing it out is the fastest way. And you can
Eyeball
save
it
this.
out. That's a good pro tip. Just eyeball it out.
You know,
people.
don't overthink it. Right? A lot of people get discouraged because they
That's a
overthink
good tip,
things.
though. I do.
Have fun with it, right? But also, again, set yourself up. Because if you don't, and you're just constantly, oh, I got to get this out of the cabinet, I got to get this out of the cabinet, get everything out before you even start. Because this all didn't just come out of here in 5 minutes. That takes time to set up, but you are ready to go here now.
Yeah.
All right. Get a facial here today.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like it's boiling away here. Let's drop that asparagus into here. Now, a great thing about this recipe is this is pretty much something you can go ahead and do with other vegetables as well.
Did you just eyeball that one?
I'm getting vinegar shooting me in the face
the
here.
vinegar's eyeballing us.
I'm even going to take some of this water out. It's just too much. You don't need all that that excess water.
So you're just looking for a thin little
A thin
layer
little
of
bit
water
on the
at
bottom.
the bottom to steam it.
It'll steam it up faster.
Okay.
That's it. Okay.
That's it.
I'm going to turn that one down to the back there.
Okay.
That was on 20. That's going to go down to about a 10. This is right now simmering on a 4. Okay.
We're at a 12.
Now, what we're going to do here next is demonstrate how we do the potatoes. Now, for the potatoes, I like to use nice Idaho or russet potatoes, but the same exact method would apply if you want to do little marble potatoes, if you want to do little red bliss potatoes. What I did today was I went ahead and just cut the ends off just to make it more uniform. And then I press the potato down because it's round, so you want to make sure you don't slip in your hand, right?
Yes.
Now-
I don't want to do that. If you do that, then I would be. Am I
You'll
the
be finishing
executive
the
chef
class.
if
Yes,
you do this?
that's how you inherit the title.
Okay.
So what we're going to do here, we'll line my knuckles like this here,
Okay.
and we're going to use my knuckle as a guide and get that. And that's kind of what I'm looking for, like kind of thick, nice pieces like this.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and cut these like that. Now, that's how I did the potatoes today. But maybe you want to do something like, maybe the actual potato skins, right?
Right.
How do I do the potato skins? Well, we'd cut the potato in half. We cut it into quarters. And now I just have this big wedge. I could do this same idea and do big wedges roasted potatoes. That
Right.
also works good too. Why not? But what I'm going to show you here is what we usually do is take this one doesn't look all that great. We'll use a different one.
Why do you say it doesn't look great?
You see these little brown bits? I mean,
Okay.
just that part. I mean, you can still get some usability out of this potato, but I would say just for a demonstration, let's
Okay.
go ahead and show you.
And Sue, oh yes, this is much cleaner.
Yeah.
Sue had a question about the asparagus. Could she use, instead of this, the steamer, the kind that, keeps the asparagus out of the water?
Yeah. So for me, I try not to have extra things that I don't really particularly need. If I have a nice tight lid, I'm steaming, But one less thing I have to get dirty, and it just makes it easier for cleanup, and it will work just as effective.
Okay.
So I have a quartered potato. I'm going to fillet this inside out a little bit. You are cutting towards yourself, so you may even want to put a towel here. So if you cut too much, you don't cut yourself.
Okay.
Now I have a pretty wide potato skin. What we do after that is cut it one more time. So essentially 1/8 of a potato is how this is. Now, one whole potato, how many calories is in this? 100 calories.
I think you're going to tell us.
100 calories. 100 calories. So this is going to give you a lot of satiety. Now, how many calories is in a stick of butter? 800. Most people add a little 100 calorie or more to one baked potato, and you just doubled the calories.
So you're telling me the potato's not the problem. It might be.
It's how you sabotage the potato with what you put in it, what you put into it, or how you cook it. I mean, if you deep fry the potato, just instead of, let's go ahead and take these out.
Oh, so it seems really quickly too.
So it's going to cook again, right? So look at that very minimal water that we're taking out. You can see the water was slightly kind of discolored, which would be less overall compared to if you boiled it in all that water.
Okay.
Cleaning as you go, Caitlin, is an art form in its own.
That's what my husband tells me.
So the asparagus is going to slightly just cool down over there a little bit. And we'll go ahead and start demonstrating the potatoes here. Okay. So again, potatoes, they're grown underground. Why start them in cold water? Because they cook from the inside out. As opposed to if I have boiling water here and I throw this raw potato into there, it's going to be more deteriorated on the outside before the inside got to where it needed to be.
And now you can do different thicknesses, you're saying. So you could do thick, you could do thin, you could do the skins.
I could just do this big old wedge, just a quarter potato.
I like thin, but okay.
Look, I mean, absolutely. So look, it's doing like this.
Does it change the temperature or the duration that you cook it?
This right here is going to cook a lot faster, these little shoestring type French fries, than these big, larger pieces, right?
Okay.
So
makes sense.
Again,
so make them all the same.
We're just doing a demonstration here, but overall, I would say you would want to cook them absolutely in the same pot of the same thickness and everything if you're going to do that. But again, we're just going to do a quick little demonstration. Put some water here. And we're going to actually cover these with water so they will cook just a little bit more evenly through as opposed to just relying on the steam, but just slightly covered. That should be good. Bring it to a boil. After it boils, in the size that I did here, I waited about 6 minutes or so after the water had boiled, and this was done. For this big old wedge, like this quarter potato, this might take maybe almost 10 minutes of boiling it to get it to where it needed to be. Another thing is, after it comes out of the water, very hot. Sorry, good catch.
Good catch.
Just want to go ahead and take this out and let this start cooling down here.
Another silly question. I think all of my questions are silly. But how do you know that the potato's done? You said it's done 6 minutes.
What I usually do is kind of just take a piece out and just break it a little bit. If it breaks very easily, and it's done. You don't want to.
That's what you want. You want it to break easily, but not be ready to mush.
Yeah, you don't want to make mashed potatoes, right? So if the potato's just falling apart when you're trying to season it before it even goes into the oven, you cooked it too far. All right, so let's move this out of the way over here so we can clear a space for our asparagus. I'm going to move this.
I'll get out of your way.
No, you're good. Now, this is a plastic bowl made from a company called Cambro, and this is actually from a polycarbonate that can take hot liquids being put into there. Not every plastic bowl can do that, and I'm trying to let this cool down as opposed to putting it in a stainless steel bowl or keeping it in that pot. It's just going to take you that much longer for it to cool down.
Is glass just the same?
Glass is going to work too. Just make sure it's like a Pyrex dish that is heat safe. All right, so asparagus time. Let's do it.
Asparagus time.
So let's wipe this down. Try to do at least a little bit. No,
sorry.
No, you're good. So usually I would use a bowl, but asparagus is so long like this. I like to use something more like this. Makes it a little bit easier to dredge everything and season it properly. So let's show you what we're going to do here. We could probably pull that corn out. That's been roasting for about 30 minutes now. So we'll just pull that corn out before we keep going.
Okay.
Need your cup in here.
You're going to just pull it out.
I'm just going to pull it on out. Just be careful.
Burn your hands?
Nah, it will be okay.
We'll find out. Yeah, you're pulling it out good. Pull it out. Pull it out. Yeah. Good job.
Just be careful. All right, so just to cool this down
That is
faster,
so neat.
we'll let this hang out a little bit. Let's check the peppers that we're roasting as well, because they're probably done.
Okay.
Check
Do you need me to skin those? I know how.
No, not anymore. We have enough peppers that we already skinned. So you can pre-roast these, let them cool down like that, peel them, put them in the fridge about maybe 5 days or so. They'll stay good. Make a roasted pepper dip, make a roasted pepper soup, make a roasted pepper sauce, whatever. They're pretty versatile.
Okay.
All right, so, and that's not all you can roast. I mean, you can roast jalapenos and poblanos. You want to roast other peppers? All good.
Okay.
All right, so let's season up. Let's season up the asparagus here. So what we'll do here to season this asparagus, we'll take this bowl here, make sure it's dry. We'll make a quick little seasoning blend. I have granulated onion. I also have granulated garlic, some paprika, and some salt-free lemon pepper. This is more than I need, but just kind of show you the ratio that we're looking to achieve here.
And it's pretty much equal parts, all of that.
Roughly, and it's up to you. You want to add more or less?
Eyeball it.
Eyeball it out. Don't overthink it. So we'll mix this seasoning so it's evenly mixed together before it goes onto the asparagus. And one thing that I find works good when you're trying to do this is that the asparagus skin is so fine and smooth that the seasoning and then the flour doesn't adhere to it as other vegetables would do. Like we do crispy cauliflower bites, no problem. You want to do this with green beans or even chicken or fish or other vegetables, works great. So one thing that we're going to do here is actually spray this. Even though this is a non-stick spray, by spraying the asparagus very lightly.
Like slimy. They're like
it just allows the seasoning to adhere to it better.
Makes sense, yeah.
So season that here for me.
Okay.
You got to do it like real fancy like this, Come
on.
I
could do that.
Yeah. Just give it light dusting on there. There we go. Just give a nice even seasoning. That looks good. So I like to season just the asparagus directly so you can gauge the seasoning that's going on there better. If you season your flour, your egg, your breadcrumb, it's hard to gauge how much is really making it on there.
Because what I would have done is I would have put all the seasoning right on top of here. No, put it in a bowl, mix it up, and then salt bay it.
Salt bay it. That's it. I didn't want to say it. We don't.
Okay, sorry. I didn't want to offend you. Chef Vincent.
All right. So let's go ahead and finish this up. So this is some, now real quick, standard breading procedure is flour, egg, breadcrumbs. For the flour component, we're using a gluten-free oat flour.
Okay.
This is boiling, by the way. We'll check that in one moment. We'll pour that oat flour over the asparagus. Bob's Red Mill is I can get it open. Bob's Red Mill is a brand I like to use here.
Bob's.
Old
And
Bob.
you could probably get that at Amazon, no?
Yeah,
online.
Every grocery store usually sells this brand. If they happen to have every product that the company carries, could vary from where you are. But online, absolutely. Any shelf-stable stuff you can buy online.
Shelf-stable.
So we have the flour. In this bowl, we're going to put the potato flakes. Why potato flakes and not breadcrumbs? Well, we did used to use breadcrumbs in like one or two recipes. We still do. But for the most part, we've decided to shift over to using a less refined product, potato flakes. Basically, many people, like institutional places, would use this to make quick mashed potatoes. We're not using this to make mashed potatoes, but to bread something and make it crispy. This works great.
I love them on breaded. I would say maybe more than breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
I love them.
And there's no sodium, so all good. Now I have egg beaters. Why egg beaters and not just eggs? Egg beaters are 99% egg whites, but there's a little bit of xanthan gum and beta carotene, which makes it look yellow. And the xanthan gum will make it look thick, and it gives it more viscosity to where it actually works like a whole cracked egg. So we'll pour that into there. And we'll also put our Parmesan cheese as well. We're looking for like an 8-to-1 ratio of our potato flakes to Parmesan. That's the lemon pepper getting you.
It is.
Could you spray those two pans here for me, please?
Sure. Just a little bit, right? Good.
You can go a little bit more. Just make sure that it's fully coated. That's enough.
Okay. Too much.
Too much now, Caitlin. Calm down.
Do more. Do less. Okay.
All right, cool. So now let's go ahead and we'll work from this way over. So we'll put this right there. We'll put our eggs. We'll put our potato flake mixture. You could also put some fresh herbs in here, makes it look a little bit prettier if you wanted to when you're actually putting it in the oven to bread. Also gives more flavor. You could use tarragon, dill, whatever. Let's check these potatoes before they go too far.
Before we have mashed potatoes.
Yeah, so the little shoestring ones were probably done like a couple minutes ago. They look like they're okay. They're definitely done. You can see they break apart very easily. This one here, just a little bit of pressure. That's it, right? That's what you're looking for. So make sure that you cool it down all the way before you try to put it onto the pan. Why? Let me tell you this. Look at this wedge. If this hot, steaming, starchy wedge goes onto that metal pan, it like suctions onto there.
Oh, that's why I can't.
And it sticks.
That happens all the time to me.
Now you know what?
And then it sticks to the pan. Okay, so let it cool.
Correct. So we'll just drain the water out of here. We can spread them all out. I would usually use a colander or a strainer.
It's hot back here. We've got a question from our friend Angie in Canada. So they don't have egg beaters in Canada, or at least in Ontario.
So you can use, if you have no issue with cholesterol, putting one yolk into 4 egg whites would be okay. And it would give you that little bit more body. But you can use egg whites. But I find that the egg whites, they just don't hold the breadcrumb part as well. It usually doesn't have that same viscosity that you kind of need to make sure it actually holds on.
So her question here was maybe dilute with some oat milk or skim milk. Does that help at all with the?
I have not ever tried it. I would say it might not work that well because usually it wouldn't hold on with anything other besides egg.
Okay.
But you can certainly try it out. I mean, again, I would say maybe take a little bit component of that out in a small bowl, mix a little oat milk or regular milk. If it doesn't work, hey, now you know. All right, so let's do this.
But we're having fun.
You want to put some gloves on? You're in charge, Chef.
Yes.
You got the glove right here.
Okay.
So we'll get this fully coated.
Don't let me forget my rings.
Now, another cool thing is maybe I'm not cooking all this asparagus right now. Hey, fine, put parchment paper here. And instead of putting this tray in the oven, put it in the freezer. Let them freeze. Once they're frozen,
we can do it today before the Super Bowl party starts.
Prep your meals before, and this is one less thing you have to worry about.
Okay, so we could prep that before. We could prep the peppers before, right?
Yeah.
The corn too, or no?
Absolutely. Yeah, that corn can basically it's in its own little husk. You can put it once it cools down into the fridge. Whether you want to peel it now or 2 days from now, fine.
That's great, people. We start prepping now.
Don't be one of these people.
Don't be. I wasn't going to be one of those.
So we'll take off most of that flour. Once you have your hand with the egg beater part, make sure you don't dip your wet hand from the egg beaters into either one of those things because it just makes a gunked up mess on your fingers, right? So I
would never do that.
When they go into here, you should have them fully coated with egg. That right there, like that exposed, not fully coated. So make sure it's fully coated.
Okay.
I'll let you do a couple of these here. I'm going to start doing that corn. So when I do it, drop them in. Try not to have so much excess egg going into there as well.
And we think I can do that. Okay, yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah, I'll eyeball it.
Eyeball it out.
That's my...
Now, again, I use these rectangular containers just for the asparagus, because of the shape, it does work better than a more concave bowl, which is a little bit, you have to use overall more product to kind of get them fully mixed in and coated there.
Okay.
So now that I have this, don't put this, wet egg hand into either one of these, because this is what happens, and now you have all this on your hand, right? So let's go ahead and pull these out.
We're going to pull them out.
We'll try not to get all the excess.
I'm doing great. Look at how good I did, everyone. I did it. Okay. And now space on the pan, like you said with the potatoes. Okay.
Yep. This is looking good. Simmering away. That chili looks nice.
An asparagus hunt.
Now we're going to finish this chili with some cilantro and parsley. If you add that too soon, you won't see the color. You don't taste it as much. So most leafy fresh herbs, or most fresh herbs in general, especially when they're leafy, you should add them at the end. There's a few exceptions, and those are more woody, stemmy herbs like rosemary, thyme. Add that stuff early if it's fresh, and it enhances the soup or the chili, whatever you're utilizing it in.
If it's woody.
If it's like a woody, stemmy herb, like thyme, rosemary would be an example of those.
Okay.
Let me check the potatoes real quick. Coming behind you.
Am I doing this?
I don't want to hit you with this, Caitlin. Give me 1 sec here.
Get out of your way.
We got these crazy French door oven here, so it's not as easy to do this. Now, just real quick, you can see The potatoes
That
are
one
slightly
potato's
sticking a
just-
little bit, but just a quick spatula underneath, they're going to come right
Ooh,
off.
they look so good.
Nice and golden brown. These are moving around a little better. Maybe you sprayed that pan a little bit more. I don't know.
More, do less.
All
That's amazing. And that's 400.
I do have these at $375, but 400 is the highest I would go.
Okay. That was really quick.
Yeah, don't take long.
Okay, because we steamed it first.
Yes. And all they have to do is just get crispy now in the oven.
Right.
So the chili's just about done. We'll finish it up with the corn and the fresh herbs. The potatoes are almost done. Those need to go into the oven. So before they do that, though, let's take some avocado oil spray
Oh, spraying on top.
and just spray them
So
on top.
this makes it crispier. Is
Makes
that
it
why
more
we do
golden brown and crispy. Yes,
Good.
that's good. Yep. All right, let's pop
that?
them in.
Get out of your way.
We're good. All right, so in the oven. Now, like I said, as opposed to cooking them all, put parchment paper down, and you can meal prep it for another time, and you can pull them out of the freezer, breaded, and ready to go.
Parchment paper. Why parchment paper if you're not going to cook it right now?
Because they won't stick to the metal pan.
Okay.
That's it.
Makes sense.
And again, if you aren't going to cook them on parchment paper, you'll find that maybe they might not get as brown overall.
Okay.
All right. So let's finish this up. You want to make some more asparagus here?
Okay.
We all want to eat here, right?
Yes. Okay. Okay. We are eating our live studio audience. Oh, wait. I did it the wrong way. No. Look away, chef. Look away. I only put one in.
So
And now I'm going to just.
you got it. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
100% covered.
So the corn's still slightly hot. So, but you can see when you roast it in the husk, look at all that silk, those strands, that hair, it comes right off. Easy peasy, not hard to do. If you try to peel raw corn like this, that hair, that silk doesn't come off as easy. Can be a little bit more of a pain to get it all off completely. This corn is still slightly hot, so if you're doing this, make sure you let it cool down. If you don't want to be.
How long would it take to cool down? Because it looks
20 minutes or so, maybe fully cool down. I wouldn't cool it in my fridge though, right? Don't put hot stuff in your fridge to cool down. If you like your refrigerator, you don't like your
Why?
refrigerator and put it all, because you messes it up. Yeah.
Oh.
Like if I was to put like those hot peppers that were cooling in that bowl in my freezer to cool down, it's going to put out too much steam into the motor and it could possibly seize it up, and then you'll have a technician coming out and wonder why it broke.
Chef, I've been breaking all the rules. Don't come to my kitchen. Wow. Wow, that makes sense.
That chili's looking good. So check this out, right? Corn, stand it up right like this. We'll cut the kernels right off. If you want to use this for salad, maybe a corn mashed potato, maybe you're making corn dip, potato corn chowder, whatever you're using fresh corn for, use fresh corn. My mother used to serve us corn when we were kids, and some days I'd like it, some days I didn't like it. She would never tell me what the difference was. You know what it was? Sometimes she used frozen, sometimes she used fresh, sometimes she used corn that was out of a can, which I would not recommend using canned corn. We use some canned products here. Mainly, I would say canned beans. We use mostly fresh, but canned beans are okay to use as long as there's no salt added. But vegetable-wise, we use tomato puree, maybe diced tomatoes for soups, and pumpkin puree from a can. Very limited frozen vegetables are used as well. But, if you want to use like edamame out of the pod frozen, that makes sense. Green peas frozen makes sense. But for the most part, I'd rather use fresh.
Did your mom teach you how to cook?
She did, yeah. I went to culinary school, but she always made a big, nice meal when we came home. So I tried, giving some help when I could. And
oh, shout out Finn's mom. She's on here. That's so cute. So you always loved cooking.
I did. I mean, I originally was going to be a baker, pastry chef, and realized how much more strict and stringent the recipes, their formulas. Right. You have to follow it exact. Otherwise, it won't come out right.
So you married one instead.
I married a pastry chef to get all the perks of not having to do it, though. Correct.
Smart. Okay.
So let's put that corn in there. Let's get that in the oven.
There's a few more. Should I? But we don't want to overcrowd
think that's enough.
it.
Yeah, we won't. We could probably do the rest, but it's okay. I think we have enough there.
We're here. I can do it. Oh, I did. I broke you another one of your rules. Nothing. Don't look. Look away.
Oh, wrong lid. All right, so let's go ahead and get this going.
Okay.
My shoe came untied before I tripped and hurt myself. Let me just tie this back up.
I wouldn't even laugh at you at all, chef. I wouldn't. I would, maybe, if you were fine. Once I knew you were okay. Okay, and since we clean as we go.
Cleaning as we go. We're just putting everything in the sink. I think we're running out of room. We probably should have put a cart over here, but no worries. All right, so
You know what our rule is at my house? If you cook it, you don't have to clean it.
Heard that? Yeah. I mean, my wife usually has that rule as well, but. The potato skins are done, or the crispy potatoes. Let's get ahead and get this out of here. Look how quickly the asparagus is browning as well. Doesn't take long to get some color on there.
Oh, those look perfect.
Look good, looking good. If anything, we give them just a few more minutes or so. Just give this a quick shake here. Nice and crispy. I think those are actually ready to go. So let these, maybe just another minute on those. These in the oven. Now I do have the fan on, right? So if you have the fan on, it blows all that hot air around and helps circulate that stagnant air and allows everything to cook more evenly.
Is that what a convection oven
That's what it is. And all air fryers are just mini convection ovens. So it's very easy to go ahead and do that in an air fryer. If you have one, small little, basically, like we have one in my home, looks like a toaster oven. That's a better kind of designed air fryer, but they're just mini convection ovens.
And would you do anything that we did today with vegetables? Would you do in your air fryer or no?
Yeah, absolutely. The potatoes, the breaded asparagus would have worked fine in the air fryer.
Okay.
My mom's on here, and she says that I always liked to bake. Yeah, that is true. I said that. Yeah.
Trish, shout out, Trisha.
And corn in the cup, it's true. Yeah, corn in the cup is always much better than using frozen or canned corn.
You try to throw your mom under the bus, but canned corn.
Yeah, I called her out. Yeah,
That's
for
your
sure. All right,
He's so picky. This is unbelievable.
All right, so let's go ahead and finish up the jam here. I have a little small bullet blender. I like this product here from Ninja because there's a lot of functionality here. I did not bring the food processor attachment, but there's a food processor attachment as well, and a big blender, and a small little bullet blender as well. So if this was just too small to put in this big old blender, which doesn't really make sense.
These kind of do the same thing, and then the food processor just keeps it more like chunky.
So a food processor, you don't need any liquid, whereas something like that blender, you would need liquid for it to do anything.
Okay.
Here, this is going to be just enough to fit into here. There is a maximum fill line, which we just marked right up to the top. So
we're working with a professional, people.
And this is still slightly warm. So
I would think that this would be a good product to have also conducive with whole foods, fresh food, right? Because you can, like you said, you can make your own salsa. You would probably put it in a food processor. Is that
you can do it in a food processor if you wanted to. Maybe mince up the onions and the peppers. I wouldn't do the tomatoes in the food processor because it's going to kind of just rip them apart.
Right. And then it's...
but definitely the other aromatic components. So let's get this.
Okay, I have a question for Chef Vince.
Tell me.
If you could have one, you said you don't like having extra things when we were talking about the steamer.
Yep.
Okay, if you can't, one thing you can't live without, and then never mind the stove, the oven, whatever, but one like product, one.
I'd say
accessory.
a good quality thing like this, it's a lot of functionality, and you have one motor that does 3 different things. You know, so that right there, I recommend this all day.
Okay.
I mean, absolutely.
Because you can do a ton with just that one.
And just good knives, right? Like, I don't have like a ton of knives. I use these 2 knives for the most part. Maybe a paring knife. But if you have a whole big drawer of knives or a whole big, magnet or a block that you barely collect, it just collects dust. You don't even know what they are useful for.
Yes.
Then why have them? I mean, we got a bunch of knives here. You want to use a fillet knife or a boning knife. Hey, great. But how often are you boning or chicken, or how often are you filleting fish?
Then I don't even know what that means. Yeah. So never.
There you go. All right. So the asparagus is just about to come out.
All right.
The red pepper jam is on its way into the bowl.
This smells so good, Chef.
Give that bowl a quick little wipe here. The asparagus will go right with it. And we'll finish this up here. All right. So we pull those other potatoes out.
Is there a line of pots and pans you recommend?
I do actually. Yeah. I mean, there is a great website I tell people all the time. Our guests probably get tired of me recommending webstaurantstore.com, like restaurant, but webstaurantstore.com.
Restaurant store.
Yep.
Okay.
It's W-E-B, Staurant, S-T-A-U-R-A-N-T.
Okay.
Webstaurantstore.com. You don't have to own a hotel or work at one or a restaurant to shop there. They'll ship to anybody's doorstep.
Oh.
But this pan right here, it's like $80. Really good quality cookware. This brand is called Vollrath, Vollrath.
Okay.
Vollrath Optio. And that's a great quality cookware, very similar to using all-clad cookware, except that it doesn't cost as much.
Okay,
So
this is good.
And it works with induction, which these burners are induction cookware. You know what that is?
No, but I was going to pretend like I did.
Induction
and Google
cookware.
it later.
Induction cookware is really weird because look, this is hot, but look, I can touch it. It's not like a regular infrared electric stovetop.
Right.
It only works if this cookware isn't compatible. It won't even heat up.
Oh, God.
Weird stuff, right?
But you still can use it on a standard.
You can use this on flames. You can use it on electric or induction.
Okay.
Yep. So,
Okay, Edward's got a quick question for us. What do you think about adding chili flakes? Yes, Edward, I love me some spice. Chili flakes to the pepper jam.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you want it spicier, crushed red pepper flakes. If you want to put actual chili, whatever you want to put in there, for sure. I would actually just use Fresno peppers this morning, which look like red jalapenos, and we make our buffalo sauce here with those. We made a big batch of that in the back just a few hours ago. But putting some of those in the oven with the red peppers, I mean, that would definitely make it spicier.
Then it's a spicy pepper.
Yep. So when you're measuring the heat of a pepper, they use something called the Scoville scale. And what that is they measure it, every drop of water it will take to dilute the heat, it gets measured by that. So poblanos are like 1,000, right?
Okay.
Whereas jalapenos can range up to 8 to 10,000, depending on the pepper. Whereas Scotch bonnets are like 50,000, right? So I mean, they're much spicier, or even 100,000. So there's a lot of peppers out there that can be even hitting something like 1 million Scoville units, and that's like the ghost peppers, things that I don't even use those.
Right. Have you ever seen the pepper challenge? Is that what it's called? I just thought of a new live video we're going to do next month.
We're just going to start biting into hot peppers over here.
It keeps getting spicier, and you try to tell me a story as you're
there's a video I watched. The guys, they eat buffalo wings, and each buffalo wing, and they get
hot ones, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, and it's a spicier pepper each time, so a spicier hot sauce. Yeah.
Stay tuned. I'm going to have you take a bite of it and then do something in the gym. Right? We'll do a set of.
The only thing that's going to take the heat out of your mouth if you bite into a hot pepper is dairy. Like some sort of milk will help take that and alleviate. If you ever bite into a hot pepper and you're just tired of your mouth burning, a little bit of dairy, especially something like ice cream would be even a double whammy because it's cool and it's dairy.
Okay.
All right, so not that you'd be eating much ice cream.
Now, cut it yourself, not pre-cut. You can get the fresh spices that are already cut up.
Yep.
We're not doing that.
For the here? I mean, you can buy pre chopped if you wanted to.
Okay.
For vegetables, I don't think that they really sell much pre-chopped herbs fresh. I've never seen them, but maybe they do.
Oh, I guess they're not fresh. They're chopped, but they're dried.
Yeah, they're dried.
Okay,
correct.
So that's a no-go.
Correct.
We're doing fresh.
And for really, I mean, dry cilantro really has no use in the world. Fresh cilantro all day long. And I like to use fresh cilantro with Italian parsley. It makes it a little bit more of a neutral flavor and not so overwhelming with just cilantro, and that's it.
Right.
So let's check our asparagus. That first tray we put in is nice and golden brown. We've been doing this for about 45 minutes here now, and we're pretty much just about done.
Okay,
but again,
looks so good.
It takes time to set everything up. So make sure you give yourself enough time to prep, to cook, to clean, to maybe.
How much time do you think this would take if I went? Well, maybe not me, but somebody who is more familiar in the kitchen than me. How long could they anticipate all this making?
And maybe 2-3 hours, I'd say.
Okay.
Easily. I mean,
so
again,
give yourself
this took an hour,
a few hours, prep ahead of time, and then give yourself a few hours to cook it.
For sure.
Okay.
Always. If you try to do too much in such a short period of time, that's how you can get discouraged. Yes. And then you find yourself, screaming, cursing, hollering, and you're not having fun anymore,
and
right?
You look crazy when your guests come over.
We don't like to look crazy here.
No, we're not going to look crazy.
So let's put some of these nice crispy potatoes here, nice and golden brown. Oh. We'll put them all around here, and we'll put that chili right into the bowl.
Look at that brown one. That one's for me.
All right, we'll leave it there for you. So again, cutting up a potato into, a couple of different shapes, whatever it may be, one potato, 100 calories. We didn't deep fry them. If you deep fry those, you're absorbing all that oil, which we didn't do. So you can have, and that's you can
salt,
have a whole.
No deep frying. They look so darn good. Okay.
Yeah, don't have the whole tray, but you can have a good amount of these potatoes that really load you up.
It's very filling.
Nice.
What a hearty
1 pound of the ground bison, but lots of vegetables, lots of beans. So if somebody was like, oh, chef, it's just vegetable chili, where's the meat at? Hey, there's meat in there. You might be inclined to eat the whole darn thing now. That's what we're looking for. And you eat all that vegetable in the same process. So our bison 3-bean chili, crispy potatoes, and let's serve our red pepper jam with our crispy breaded asparagus. And
Okay.
again, usually people will be deep frying the asparagus and the potato, but we baked it and it worked just fine. Not hard to do at all. Simple process. Take these here, nice and crispy and brown.
Ooh.
We'll
You
lay
had a
these
good
out.
mixer, huh? Oh, you did those ones. Right.
We'll see what yours look like when we pull them out here. So, folks, thanks for joining us here.
Wait, can I taste test?
Of course,
We don't have a spatula. I'll taste test it.
dig in.
Okay. We'll see. Now we'll see if
Let me
you
see.
really
You
know
tell
what
me
you're
if it's good or
doing.
not,
Okay.
Caitlin.
We are really good.
You like it? Probably pretty hot. So
Wait, I've always really liked these, but fresh from the oven,
yeah.
really good. Okay, you passed. Oh, and I'll dip a potato in here. So I'm just marking my territory, so I get all of this. I mean, it's delicious. It's really good. You
Well,
pass.
Not
You
hard to do,
pass.
folks. You know, hopefully you
Wow.
enjoyed the little extra 2 bonus dishes we added on. We figured we'd give you a little extra surprise here. If you want the recipes for those two, we will certainly include them in just a moment as well. And go Eagles.
Yeah, go Taylor Swift.
I'm calling 31-27 Eagles. So
Listen, I would shout out Vince's mom for teaching him and the love of food.
yeah,
because
shout out to
now
my friend Becky too. She turns 50 today apparently. So
Aw, happy
And-
birthday, Becky.
thanks for coming in.
Thanks
for
guys.
joining
This
us.
was so fun. Next time, I'm going to really turn the heat up. We'll bring him in the gym, and we'll see how confident you are in there.
Yeah, I do a lot of cardio, and I wish I could have more time to do some more strength training. So hopefully you can give me something where I don't need a lot of stuff, but I can do it at my home
All you'll need is your body, the floor,
and a wall.
and a wall.
There you go.
That's it.
We got it. I have that. Thanks for joining us again. My name is Vince. This is Caitlin. Take care, folks.
Thanks, guys. Happy Super Bowl.